Welcome to Revolution Network. This is Dr. Jason Dean, your source for knowledge, health, and freedom. And yes, it is almost 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I have someone here from California, the West Coast, where it is not 1 o'clock Eastern Time. But I was in touch with her tonight. We have known each other for a little while now. And I actually just stumbled across her Twitter feed. And we're going to go into the mischief she got into last night. And it's a good mischief, so that's not a bad thing. Sandra, how are you?
Hi, how are you, Jason?
I'm good. So Sandra is a registered nurse, and she is out in California dealing with the absolute chaos out there. And
Mhm.
anybody who knows her Facebook and Twitter feed have blown up in the last week because she's out there fighting. And then last night she had a little run-in with the law, but
Mm.
not in a bad way. So, Sandra, first off, tell everyone a little bit about you and some background on why you're even in this fight, because you've been directly impacted by it.
Yes, I have. So basically, what's going on here in California is that there is a bill called SB 276 being authored by Senator Pan and co authored by Lorena Gonzalez. And this bill basically narrows the exemptions, the medical exemptions that are allowed to be given to school age children that want to go to school uh, for injuries caused by vaccines. But not only that, this bill also seeks to take the authority of granting the final decision whether that child will receive a medical exemption or not. And it is reauthorized, and they're seeking to basically have the government make those decisions for those medical decisions for our children rather than the usual ethical uh, way of allowing your doctor to work with you and to do the proper assessments to determine that.
Right. And so you,
And
you, you have a child that was vaccine injured. So I want to dive into that and
yeah,
then we'll get to everything that's happened in the last week and then the last day. But you have some personal skin in this game, right?
oh yeah, definitely. Wow, it goes deep because I'm also a nurse, so I come from a side of actually fully believing that vaccines were necessary for preventing and disease, and it's such a big deal in the medical community. You know, it's constantly being promoted and just even enforced to some employees for uh, working in different in the health field. So vaccines have this uh, reputation in the health community that they're safe and effective. And what I found was that my son was injured right after his 1 year series of vaccines to the point that it was very, very noticeable. But the doctors and nurses were actually not recognizing these injuries because they're not within the CDC contraindication list, but they are in the manufacturing inserts. So I actually worked for a nonprofit foundation in which we ran a vaccine clinic in the time that I worked as a nurse in Houston. And so I had the opportunity to be more versed in the subject. Because in nursing school, they only really teach you how to administer the vaccines and what the CDC schedule is. No, so I had apparently to really experience it firsthand to truly see the systematic issues of the lies of it being a 1 in a million situation. It's not, the risks are not that low, even based on simple observation by just knowing enough neighbors in my own community that surpassed that number already by a lot. So or those statistics. So I don't know. I mean, personally, it was the worst experience of my life. My son began to have neurological issues, GI issues, and he regressed in development. He actually began to have behavioral effects in which the doctors were then starting to describe as possible autism, which made no sense to me because up to that point he had been completely within normal developmental limits based on the CDC standards, which is actually what I was also following at the time. And yeah, I mean, it was horrific. I'm gonna probably get emotional if I really go into it, but the truth is that my story is actually the same story that I've been hearing from a lot of mothers, and that's what's very impactful is that a lot of mothers are going through this and they're being gaslighted by the medical communities and being bullied into believing that their own instincts are wrong when children are having injuries right after vaccines. I mean, sometimes within the hours. And if you really go into it and start doing your own actual research and start looking at how it works and how it truly is all about business and money, I mean, they're drug companies. It's not like, it's how would they be behaving differently than how they are with the opioid crisis that they created? How are we believing that it's any different? Business is business to them, and I'm sure it's business as usual. So when you really truly look at it, vaccines are just that, and there's definitely a big issue, and having them mandated in any way or form by the government is very dangerous.
Right now, fast forward, they passed SB 277 some time ago, and now the last 6 months, a year, it seems like they've been pushing SB 276 in California, which is essentially taking away the medical exemptions and really doing a lot of harm going forward, because even somebody who might have autism already, now they're
Mhm.
going to have to get more injections because they can't get out of that. So
Right.
you have been very visible the last week with people like Jonathan Lockwood, the Conscious Coalition, out there in California, putting up the fight, protesting, etc. Give us a little background on that before we go into your arrest yesterday.
Oh my God. Yeah, so, well, enough is enough, right? And I made this really a personal issue because it is personal, and I don't have lobbyists representing me in the Capitol. So a lot of us are basically waking up to the reality that no one is truly fighting for us, even though they're supposed to be fighting for us, and these public servants have been put in place by our uh, power of voting them in. So they're supposed to be following their oath to the California Constitution and the U.S. Constitution of protecting our rights, and they're not doing that. And of course, I don't have billions of dollars to invest in lobbyists, so I have to go ahead and learn how to approach this myself, and that's what I and a lot of people are doing currently with the guidance of um, organizations such as Conscious Coalition. I mean, that's really the most impactful so far in my case, and that I've seen as well, alongside with, of course, all the warriors that are truly putting their lives out there every day as well, like Denise Marie and Tara and Heidi, who stood up there. And when the bill was being rushed through, of course, they were trying to catch everybody off guard, knowing that we would be making a presence. And so they're really toying around with us. And we're really, truly just people. We're mothers who truly have suffered a lot. And in my case, I'm very fortunate that my child is still here and that we were able to help him recover to an extent, and because we don't truly ever know how much damage these vaccines are doing, especially given that there is foreign DNA and that it truly causes damage that can be truly permanent and irreversible. Uh, so it's
So,
really,
so
really
this,
sickening to see that these people treat us like we are literally second class citizens. Like, I mean, they'll gather with every other group. We've been there so much that we can see they'll gather with every group, no matter how small. They actually came out when the veterans for joined us. The veteran, I forgot their actual association, so maybe I'll shoot it to you later. But they showed up, and they usually defend the Second Amendment, but all freedoms. And so they joined our effort for a moment, of course, to support us. And of course, then people showed up to go ahead and meet them. But we've been there with children, and some with their disabled children, many mothers with breastfeeding little kids, and they have been completely ignoring us. And even some senators have acknowledged that to us, and they told us how we have been the most persistent and most present, and truly trying to get the governor's attention to at least listen and talk to us and consider how impactful these bills, because it's become two bills now, um, are going to be for California children, and especially the vulnerable population of children that have already been vaccine injured, and the children that have high risk. So it's been very appalling. There was also a press conference uh, hosted by attorney Leah Dundee, and she uncovered documents that show them literally calling us nut jobs. And it's so disrespectful. We pay for their jobs, for their privilege to serve the public, and they're taking advantage. They are not serving the public. They are serving other interests that include a pharmaceutical product that they are seeking to mandate for children to get their rights to an education. And not only that, I mean, we could homeschool. A lot of people are having to homeschool, but a lot of people can't. And also, we pay taxes for public education, and of course, that's another system that truly needs help. um, so this is why this is not just one issue. Vaccines is a very huge issue because it's very directly invasive to our body. But all the other systems are also failing out here. It is very evident just by seeing how the education system is deteriorating, seeing the issue with homelessness just increasing exponentially. Just I went to LA. I'm from Los Angeles, so I moved to Texas for a decade and came back, and the difference is astronomical. I've actually never seen uh, Los Angeles since very maybe early 90s, that I remember when I was a child. And even then, it wasn't as bad as it looks now.
Wow. So this week, the bill was passed through all the legislature in
Hmm.
California, and it was sent to the desk of Governor Newsom in
Hmm.
California, and that's when everything heated up this week. So now this this happened this week. I was watching you guys, and then I saw you doing a lot of videos, and
Hmm.
then yesterday I saw Jonathan posting something about Sandra getting arrested, and as soon as he said Sandra, I knew exactly who it was, and because you kind of disappeared off social media, so I actually messaged Jonathan behind the scenes and said, "Did Sandra get arrested?" And I think he said something like, "Yeah, I'll let you know what happened." And then I think I messaged you this morning, and then this afternoon or this evening actually, because again it's 1 a.m. right now. I was not planning to go live
Right.
tonight. 1 a.m. Here, which is not a big deal. I don't mind because it's worth the message.
Thank you
But
for that. Yeah.
up on my Twitter feed pops the video. This is at almost 12:30. Sandra literally getting arrested on video. So Sandra, take me through what happened.
Oh my God.
Okay,
Oh my God.
it's I will tell you it is completely noble on what you went through and what happened, and you have nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, you're fighting for your kid, you're fighting for everyone's kid. So the fact that this was on camera and everyone knows your background, they knows your ethics level. This is huge in many ways. So again, take us through that because not everyone knows what happened and not everyone knows that you were arrested.
Oh my God. I was arrested. Yeah. Well, and then, of course, what is the definition of arrested at this point? Because what truly happened was that we have been again, we don't have lobbyists, right? And I've been observing the capitals. I traveled out there with my own funds, which are not flowing generously at this time. And because this is very important to me, yes, it will affect my children directly. And I am just one person, but actually, I'm representing a lot of people. Like you said, I've actually started putting my story out there a lot, and I've actually managed to share my experience with a lot of people who are following. So I have been doing more videos, and I decided that while I was there in at the Capitol, that I would go ahead and make it my mission to empower people to just come in, like this is our house. We pay for this house. The Capitol in California belongs to the people of California. And my observation is that the people that are supposed to be serving us currently walk around there like they own the place. And a lot of them are not even really even serving the public, they're just lobbyists. So we were doing that, and I was learning a lot from that, which broke my barriers because again, I'm just a mom. I've never done this before. Politics intimidate me. I never truly wanted to be involved in any way or form. uh, but I decided to go ahead and go visit my senator, Senator Stone, which happens to be opposing this bill, which is amazing. I'm very thankful for that. So I wanted to thank him and let him know that he has my full support and that I want to become more involved. And, he's representing me, and that's how it should be. So when I did that, I got some information because we've been out there chanting and, you know, just, I mean, putting in our energy in this building, asking for us to be heard. And we have no response. No one's coming. We had maybe a couple of mothers got a few meetings in, a couple of associations got a few meetings in, but what happened was that then I was informed by one of the staffers from my Senator Stone, that there had been an agreement made between Senator Pan and Governor Newsom. So I guess I should have explained, or you kind of explained already, that they rushed it through the Assembly and they rushed it through the Senate, trying to catch us off guard. And so it landed on the governor's desk. So now he's the only one left that has the power to stop it. And but apparently they made a deal that the governor would sign the bill, uh, as long as there was this other bill that would kind of amend the first bill. Okay. It's not good enough. Not even a little bit. Like, no. So it really, really ignited me further because I've been seeing all the passion and all the mothers coming in, and truly, I mean, we're peaceful. We're not doing anything wrong. We're doing what we have rights to do so, and to be there and to demonstrate. And but we're not getting anything. I mean, we're just not. We're not taking. We're not negotiating. We're not negotiating our rights. These are our rights, and our children are deserving of being protected. And there was actually a quote that came out of one of my videos that I guess I was just speaking and became a meme, but it's true. We love our children way more than they love their money, because I when I go in there, all I see is people aspiring to advance their career. They're not there to truly care and think about families and think about our needs. They are there to advance their purpose and whatever their companies or whoever they're representing. That's what they're doing there. And that's why we got so many bad looks and so many ignorant actions, such as covering their faces like we're contagious. Like, they obviously don't know anything about pathogens or microbiome, or the fact that there's billions of types of species of microbes everywhere.
I'm not laughing
Eh,
at you. I'm laughing at the
right.
fact, I'm laughing
Yeah.
at the fact that they have no concept of immunology whatsoever, because just the
Nothing.
fact that they're covering their mouth and nose, it makes them completely clueless.
It's yeah, exactly. Like, you can spot the ignorance so quickly, and it's really sad, because a lot of these people have built themselves up on this premises of climbing up the ladder. And I'm not foreign to knowing how uh, the business, the economics, and how the business world works. And so a lot of people forget that, to include that money makes and influences decisions and influences effects, because money is power. So there's a lot of money coming from pharmaceuticals, because if you just look at their gains, they're like 6 billion just on like vaccines. And so uh, we need to wake up. Okay, no one in there is actually representing our actual needs and rights. And they are using the vulnerable communities to promise them things so that they will be supported. And it's just all a big lie.
What led to
And
you getting handcuffed?
yeah, get to well, so then I decided to go downstairs and let everybody know what happened. And it was already nearing maybe 4 p.m. Okay, they close at 6. And I'm like, no, I did not travel up here to Sacramento twice this week, okay, to get some answers, to truly make an impact. They can simply suspend this bill. There's absolutely no reason to rush it. Zero reason. There's no crisis. There have been no unlawful reasons to actually investigate doctors. And so I decided that I wasn't going anywhere. If the governor is not showing up during business hours, then I will wait 24/7 until he shows up. And so, because I bought a one-way ticket, not knowing when I would be back. Uh, so I'm not kidding around. I'm not joking. I seriously am concerned. Not only that, but I have proof through court, even through like court results, that there are so many things wrong and so many reasons to pause rather than to rush this type of bill and its companion, SB 714. So I'm outraged. I am completely outraged. I will not stand down because my children are way more important than anything. I had to approach Lorena Gonzalez during another event because that's the only time she'll come out in the public to speak to people. And it was an event for unionizing Lyft and Uber, which is only going to backfire. But anyway, I won't go into that. But I did approach her because otherwise she's not showing up. And what does she do? She runs away. She ignores the issue. And we are done. These people are ignoring us, and we are not just a few. They want to make up this whole idea that we're like a very small minority. So the idea came up that we needed to stay, and because it's happened before, and there has been another apparently way smaller, much smaller group protesting or advocating for something else. I don't remember what because I was tired, but they actually successfully stayed overnight, uh, and Governor Newsom paid attention to them and allowed it, and they were perfectly fine. So a lot of people were, questioning why we were deliberately, quote unquote, disobeying the law. But the laws that were read to us, we don't even really know for sure that they were true. And by the fact that I was actually at the end unarrested, so we decided that we weren't going to leave. But there were like 10 of us, right? But we were just going to camp out. We were not trying to get arrested or anything like that. That was never the intention. We wanted to get Governor Newsom's attention. We are not, I mean, we've been chanting and peacefully protesting for a week, and there's been hundreds of people that have rotated because there has been people there constantly during open hours, and nothing, right? So then the California Highway Patrol began to inform us what they would be doing in the case that we decided not to leave. So that's when things started getting interesting, because at first we were under the impression that they could not really arrest us for being in this property. And even if they were to want to, that they would contact Governor Newsom, and that he would take the same type of approach with us that he did with this other group, which was fighting for something else that has nothing to do with children. And I think children are way more important, right? They're number one priority in my list. And my children are, of course, 100% number one priority in my list. So I will absolutely advocate for them always. So I decided that I and spiritually felt that I needed to be there, and that I was not going to move, and that was my decision regardless of what was going to happen, because they began to threaten and say that it was 99.9% guaranteed that we would be arrested if we refused to leave. So a lot of mothers, of course, began to really reconsider the options, because we're not looking to be arrested. That was never in the plan.
Well,
Uh,
on what grounds are they arresting? Trespassing?
they read a code that honestly I don't remember, and we didn't record. And this is where it gets crazy, because that's a good question. What did they arrest us under?
They
And
had nothing. They were just threatening.
so what was it? Was it intimidation? Did they just kidnap us to basically try to instill fear in us? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the legal, side of this, but I do know that I was removed from the building uh, forcefully. Really, I was detained. My hands were tied. I did not retaliate in any way or form, as shown in the video. So. Um, I complied with their direct orders, but I did not. That was not what I wanted. I wanted to stay there overnight to make a statement and to. I mean, if Governor Newsom was so busy all day and during his working hours, I'm willing to be there after hours. I'm a nurse. I can do 12-hour shifts, 24-hour shifts. So there's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse. Um, yeah, we're just not
So,
kidding
so,
around.
so you were arrested, and if anybody'd like to go look at it, go to Twitter, and you'll find it very easily. It's Sandra getting arrested on camera, and I don't remember what you were saying off the top of my head, but you were basically talking to the camera while it was happening. The officer was very kind in general,
Yeah, he
as
was.
he was cuffing you or tie wrapping you, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they took you out of there. Did they put you in the car and take you away?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So there was a little bit of miscommunication, and so there was a report that we had been rerouted en route, and then we never actually made it uh, into the jail offices, or I don't know, what do you call it? Because we didn't go into a jail cell. Okay, we didn't make it that far,
Did you even
but
make it to the precinct or to the?
yeah, I guess that's what you call it. It was the county jail, so we made
Okay.
it to their. Okay, I'll tell you what happened. So we were handcuffed after the zip ties. We were walked downstairs to the garage, and then we were transported via a van rather than a police vehicle. And I'm assuming it's because they were avoiding actually getting a picture of us being removed, because they were very imminent. So they uh, never mind. Yeah, so I that's what I think happened. And so we when we were down there, they actually removed Heather's zip tie because hers were a little tight, and they put her in handcuffs. Mine were fine, so they didn't put handcuffs on me until I got to the precinct. Um, but yes, I had handcuffs on. I was handcuffed the whole time, and so while we were down there, they removed my shoelaces. They further checked my pockets and whatever else they wanted to do. I had no control. But they were generally nice. But of course, they were still just doing their job.
Do they read you your
Uh,
rights, like Miranda rights?
that's an amazing, excellent question, because
So they didn't read you your rights, which technically means you're not arrested because they can't take you into custody unless they read your rights and offer you, your lawyer or a lawyer.
mhm.
And there's no warrant. There's no.
So there's so many little questions that are interesting. I'm not afraid. I am on the right side of history. I have Jesus in my heart. I literally follow the greater calling. Okay, I never felt like I would be in trouble, but that doesn't mean that I couldn't have been. I was basically in the lion's den, and I was very fortunate that I did have, I think they were all very professional. Um, the ones that were not professional were the nurses, but uh, they were not affiliated with the California Highway Patrol. So they were doing their job, but they did forget to read me my Miranda rights. I haven't consulted a lawyer. I don't know what that means. Again, I'm just a mom and a nurse, and I don't have that kind of knowledge, but right, isn't that an excellent question to ask and to look into? And so what happened was that we were there. They took all our information, so I don't know what they still have our information, even though they said they deleted it, right, because we gave it. So we don't know if they deleted it or not, but that's what we were told. They took our information, then they sent us to get a health assessment, in which they took us our vital signs and our temperature, and they wanted to ask more questions, very personal questions. And then on top of that, they wanted us to sign forms that would release my rights for them to give me medical treatments as necessary. Which I just
Ironic.
laughed. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, no, not doing that. And as soon as I said that, that nurse was just like, and I was just like, you know what? Well, I didn't say it like that. I didn't say anything actually. I was very composed, which is why they couldn't really do anything. They didn't even know how to react. And so I refused to sign more forms. One of the nurses tried to ridicule me and say, "Oh, all of a sudden everyone's a lawyer here. They don't want to sign anything." And I said, as a nurse, I'm a nurse too, okay? But as a nurse, you do know that that is my right, correct? And she stared at me and said, "Yeah, okay." Like these people are so high on their own like superiority or power because they're like acting under an entity of some sort. But I'm a person. I can say whatever I want, and I can say no. I can say I do not consent. And they're so used to people complying that people saying no is usually a threat and really irritates them. But anyway, as soon as I was moved and handcuffed again, and moved because during the assessment they handcuffed me to do the assessment, and then on the way back I was handcuffed again, and I heard something about a possible felony charge. Okay, which was weird because before that, while we were in the car, they were saying that it would be most likely a misdemeanor. It didn't make sense. Like I was
They never read
confused.
you your rights.
I never read me my rights. I didn't know what I was really being detained for, uh, and I mean, I just did, you know. And then the arresting officer walked in just like that, and he said, "I bet you didn't think you would see me again." And I just kind of like shockingly, I did, I was shocked, and I said, "No, I did not." And he immediately said, "Well, I have good news for you." And I said, "Okay." And meanwhile, Heather was still finishing with her health assessment. So I was then transferred custody to him, meaning I literally was asked to stand up, and then he walks next to me and transfers me. I have to walk alongside him. And then they did paperwork. So while we were outside the place, because he said, "We'll talk outside," he informed me that it was our lucky day or something like that, and that we were not arrested, and that he would be releasing us and taking us to the place of our choice. Um, and so I tried to kind of hint Heather on the way out. Like I kind of smiled because she didn't hear what he said. So I was trying to let her know that we were going to be okay. But so then she comes out afterward and she was informed of the same. And after that, I mean, he was like our friend. So I don't know if that was a whole strategy of just trying to intimidate us
It's an
because,
intimidation tactic.
Yeah, I don't know.
You were
Again,
arrested to start with because they didn't read rights. They didn't even tell you were arrested. They just took you away.
and they didn't want any evidence of a picture of us being handcuffed, and they were specific about that. Which I think that's why they put zip ties upstairs and then changed them downstairs. Okay, so I don't know. I again will have to consult a lawyer. This is just my experience and what happened in my point of view. I didn't answer any questions other than information, personal information. And then we were taken back to the Hyatt, and we were given a I don't know, release form. I don't know what I forgot what the form is called, but basically it says that there was no charge found for the arrest. So it admits there was an arrest, I guess. I don't know. Again, it was so crazy. And the crazy part too is that they were saying, Heather overheard them say, "We've never been this far. I don't know what to do. How do we delete this? Like how do we deal with this part?" So it was weird and it was random even for them. And what we were told was that they received a call from we don't know whom or who or what, and that's why we were, you know, unarrested or whatever.
Not arrested, really, but then unarrested for the not being arrested.
Yeah. So if I wasn't arrested, then I was kidnapped, is what people are saying. I don't know. I know I didn't go willingly. I accepted because I was then being handcuffed and I have no control up to that point.
Yeah, I'm no attorney, but you may want to consult one.
Oh, I
Just to
will.
find out what you have to do and to keep yourself, safe and clean and everything else, because you're definitely on the radar now.
Oh, absolutely. I
Welcome to the
guess.
club. So now
Thanks.
going forward, where is this bill? What do you know what's going to happen? How's it all shaking out?
Well, haha. Let's see where it's gonna go. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. It seems like Pan is well, he's Pan, and Governor Newsom, he's not very readable at this point. We don't know, right? If he did agree. Sorry, my hair is everywhere. If he did agree to these quote unquote amendments, I don't know if that's the right term or not, but it's a separate bill that's supposed to supplement the first bill. If he agrees to that and he is agreeing to signing it, he's not getting or understanding our point. And we are not asking for we're not negotiating. We're not asking for amendments. We're not asking for any type of. We don't want any part of this. We don't want any because this bill goes further than ever. It goes into literally removing or getting in between you and your doctor. It's like taking Lorena Gonzalez with me to my pediatrician's, appointment with me, and like, it's like, me instead of me talking to my doctor and helping make staying decisions for my child based on his individual results and assessments. It's like me saying, "Okay, Lorena, go ahead. You tell me what to do." Or whoever is going to be up there, because I'm just using Lorena as an example because she's part of the bill. Or like me taking Senator Pan, and giving him my authority to make that decision for me. That's how I see it. That is
Yeah,
super
and
invasive.
so it's tough because my viewpoint on this, and I'm in Florida, and it's gonna be here because we have 64 coming around the corner.
Yeah.
But I appreciate everyone in California fighting as hard as they do. But I'll be honest with you, your politicians don't give a crap. They
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
don't care. Newsom doesn't care. He's in that position for a reason. Um, obviously, I hope that magic happens and something comes through and this thing's knocked off the table. But the facts that are on the table,
Mm-hmm.
everything out in front of you guys is they don't
There's
care.
a
They're
there's
going to
a
push
lot of
this stuff through
reasons.
because the money is pouring into those politicians' pockets.
However, the reasons for them to save themselves now are actually very, very good because we have real proof. Uh, and even, I mean, you can just look at the 1986 Injury Act, and you already have proof that injuries from vaccines are inevitable, which means that if you sign these bills, your hands are on that. You know, you are directly responsible for those injuries. And maybe you think you're immune to them, right, through governmental layers, but how will you ever be held responsible against the actual people? Because we truly have the power to remove and change the climate, the political climate in there. They're too comfortable in there. They think that they own the place, and you know, I'm sure they've been working for decades to get there, and their sole mission is to stay there, and they'll do anything to be there, and they'll ignore facts to stay within their party so that they remain in their position, and that's self-serving. That is not serving the public. So my goal, and I think what gives us all hope, is that we are waking up to this and we are exposing it for what it is. And you know, I'm just one person who kind of stumbled upon this. I was convinced that this system could work, and you know, I supported a lot of these ideas before when I thought they sounded like great ideas. And, you know, maybe because I had hope that a government could actually serve the people. But the truth is that the government is composed of other people, and those people also get influenced. And if their influences are for self gain and for, you know, purposes that are not actually for the people, then they don't belong there. And so I think that we can't lose hope that we can actually wake up uh, the masses to this, so that you know the last thing they like is people knowing what they're doing. I mean, they live in there, they work in there, and they do things under wraps. They are constantly competing, and it's like a jungle. You know, it's a jungle, and no, that is not their house. That is our house, and we need to occupy the space in there. We need to show our presence, and we need to let them know that we are actually in control. We will not comply, okay? And I will, you know, if it gets to a point where I can't even take my child somewhere, then I will then look to hold those people responsible. I will never stop. I love my children. I'm not just going to then all of a sudden say, okay, well, let's just accept this, and you know, I'll go ahead and risk injury to my child again, or risk injury to his brother, who is super sensitive and who could also be as injured and maybe irreparably injured or die. No, 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 and no is no, and I'm not the only one. And they keep claiming that the majority of the population agree with these mandates and these bills, but the truth is that people are not happy because the climate here, the situation here is not good. You look at anything that they're governing, it's not working. It's not working for anyone, and they just want to like go 2.0 on it and just make it worse. No, and so I think that it is time for people to really look at the effects. Stop listening to what they're saying is absolute. There's no absolute. We need to observe and look at what they're doing. We need to go in there, ask questions, follow them around, and just watch how they do their process. They are supposed to be informing us of everything and the possible effects. And the truth is that they are passing so many bills, they're rushing them all. They don't know what they all are. They're just following whatever their party says. And the people that create these bills, like the ones that are like the one that is being pushed through in Florida, or like ours here, they are completely people that are involved and sponsored and supported by drug companies, the pharmaceutical companies that make these vaccines that make billions of dollars. So we need to truly understand how that works so that we start looking how we support the right people that are actually, you know, supporting and fighting for our rights, which is what they're supposed to be doing in there.
Makes sense. Now you're connected, obviously, to the Conscious Coalition. So, what are you guys' next steps out there? What happens next?
I don't really know. See, they Conscious Coalition, they don't actually have as much direct control on like individual, things that we do. They're just more here to actually educate us on how the process works, demystifying, the capital. Like before this, I was never involved in I didn't even truly know, to be honest, the difference between legislators and, you know, it's just not my thing, right? I love health and so many other subjects that are way more fun for me. but politics affects our lives directly, so I've had to, obviously, put my attention into it. So Conscious Coalition has basically just ignited a light, educated us, mothers who are just simple folk, on, allowing ourselves to get out of our shell and say we can also advocate for ourselves. We don't need to have somebody else advocate for us. We can learn ourselves what's going on and pay attention and get in communication. They teach, how to use the tools, the social media tools like Twitter, which a lot of us, maybe some of us, are super intimidated with Twitter because it's just different, and it puts you out there, it exposes you out there. So it's not easy, to do that. It really isn't, actually. So it takes a lot of energy, and they have all the money and energy to do it. It's all these people in there in suits and serving other entities that are not, you know, them really even their own rights, because it's like, how can they not see that they're actually going to affect their own, children and grandchildren? Because these laws, once they're passed, it's super difficult to reverse them. It's not like, oh yeah, it's gonna be like this. Pan can make all his promises. Oh, that's not the intention of the bill, or, oh, that's not gonna happen, like he did with SB 277. But then equally, like he already did, he could just turn around and lie again and just come up with something else, because that's what's happening. Slowly, they're taking our rights slowly, one by one. With you guys, they're going after your philosophical and personal exemptions, right?
Right.
Philosophical, yeah, and religious exemptions, which we already lost. Like, is it, are, is this even America? Like, how have we gone so far already in that we already accepted that? That's already a fact here. So going further is completely outrageous. It is going to be the domino effect is truly what we are all concerned about. Because, yeah, we can homeschool. Yeah, we can say no. But that's not the only bill. There's other bills that complement when you look at the whole picture. And this is where then politics gets crazy, because the situations and the effects that can have from that are incredibly dangerous to everyone. Everyone. We cannot allow this to happen. And Governor Newsom, look, where I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, I totally understand, your comment earlier about them not caring. I've seen that. That's what I've been exposing. But he's now on the spotlight. It's his turn to prove that, right? So this is his chance. It's his chance. If he his actions will speak louder than even his non-presence. Okay, so we just want to know what he's going to do, because after that, I don't know what Conscious Coalition has planned. I think their plan obviously is just to actually continue to help the nation, because we can see the domino effect in all the bills that are trying to pass in all the states. There's other things that but it's really all about organizing and strategizing as we go. It's not a specific thing, I guess. And it's also about unifying all the different groups. So it's not just Conscious Coalition.
Sure.
It's all these individual groups, and taking the time to connect them together is obviously super important, which has been very effective. Um,
Well, I'm glad you're safe.
oh my God. Yeah, I'm thankful too. I mean, they were generally nice, and uh, I'm not saying that anyone should go do that. I never intended to be arrested. I, again, if other people have done it, I would think that Governor Newsom would prioritize children over anything else, which is what I would do, not only for my children, but even as a professional, I was in pediatric nursing, as I was during that time that I was in public nursing. And so, I mean, it is about the children. I don't know at what point we have. I mean, why are we doing this? You know, like children can't advocate for themselves. They can't speak for themselves. I don't understand how Senator
It's an
Pan
agenda.
can, of course, but I don't understand how Senator Pan can completely disregard data that's being brought to him. I saw a tweet about him saying he wasted his minutes meeting with Schneider,
Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider. Apparently, I don't know the full story, but he said that he wasted his minutes listening to Rob Schneider's data because he's just like 100% convinced that vaccines don't cause autism. And it's just like such a broken record from him that truly allows, like, it makes me wonder if he's even, truly actually mentally capable of doing his job. And I'm very concerned about the people that are in power, and the fact that not only are they in power, but they're in power of the decision making because of their positions. Like Lorena Gonzalez is the chair appropriate the chair of appropriations, and so she basically can dangle everybody around based on the fact that she's the one that approves the budgets, and so it's just this whole little high school little drama that they have. And I mean, the people there are just not all very quality people. I mean, there's great people in there too, but in general, a lot of not quality people. And just based on my observations, the fact that they're walking around making faces at children, like, how do you treat children like that and act like they're like, they because we know that they have been vilifying mothers and children that are not vaccinated or not fully vaccinated, and ridiculing the claims that they've been injured, and that is completely unprofessional. I mean, I don't even understand how this is reality, to be honest. So and many of us, you can't go back. Once you know, and we will never ever stand down, and we will tell everybody, and this is not over ever. So it is Newsom's turn to really make a decision, because I guess there's talks or knowledge that he aspires to become president of the United States. And honestly, I think this is a subject that can truly tip over any decision making, because as for me, someone who's gone through it, I actually don't really care for either party, but I will literally support only whoever actually protects our rights, and whoever actually stands between pharma, those drug companies that who have been losing court rulings because they are committing mismarketing, they are bribing doctors, they are setting up all these systems to trap people into their addictive pharmaceuticals, so that these people are spending all their money on them and becoming addicted, becoming sick, and then being vilified for being drug addicts, and then being left to basically die. That's what they want. They just want us all to die a slow death, and in the process give them all our money. Please, guys, let's think about this, okay? Because there's so much more. I mean, we all have had bad experiences with doctors. We know not all doctors are perfect. They make mistakes. I hope you guys know that. Like, they're human, and we cannot put them in a pedestal and just pretend that because the doctor said so, that we need to follow it and that it makes sense, because they are being bribed. They are getting, compensation bonuses for a percentage of vaccination rates in their offices, and they are becoming fully self-interested in just that, to the point where they are rejecting even children that would qualify under the medical exemptions that are supposed to be valid. Of course, they're all valid because they're currently all lawful. So these bills are literally just trying to actually override current checks and balances in place. So I call it a government takeover. I believe this is basically what that is. And that's just my observation based on the fact that the the board, the medical board, would lose basically all of the process that's currently in place has been in there for a while, and it's very, they want it to be faster, they say, or easier, and really all that means is that they'll have all the power to basically make up all new rules. They can do whatever they want. And so if that's not a government takeover, I don't know what that is. But anyway,
they want complete, absolute 100% control, and they want to dictate how it all actually happens. It's an agenda. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but that's exactly what it is, and we have to figure out how to stop it and actually dismantle it. How does everyone, now that you're a celebrity for getting arrested and making a stand, which is a good thing, how does everyone follow you on what you're doing and seeing your next steps?
well, I mostly spend a lot of my time on Facebook, and I've began to have some traction on Twitter. So on Twitter, my name is Sandy Arenosa, Arenosa. Sorry, I'm tired.
Sorry.
I had to visualize it. And on Facebook, I'm Sandra RN. I don't have like one. I don't know. I'm just a person. So I started. So I guess I'll eventually maybe make one thing that makes it easier for people to find me, but that's how you can find me now. I don't know what my next steps are other than just follow, what's going on. Like, we know, for example, that Monday is crucial because just like they did before, they can literally try to rush this through the Assembly and the Senate in one morning, and it can land right back. SB 714 is the companion bill that would have to be rushed through, and then it can land in the governor's desk at any time, and then he can either sign it or veto it at any time. So they're yo-yoing us. We don't know. We are keeping us in the dark, and they know that we're showing up. They know that people are making sacrifices to be there, and that we don't have professional lobbyists that can take off for a week or two to be there presently explaining our position. So it is so disrespectful. I feel that, if I was in there representing Merck, that I would have been received very differently, and I think it's disgusting. I disown it. I don't like it. I'm just done. I need to just get that message across to them that we are watching them, and that it's not just me. I mean, they can say me, or they try to pick at people. They try to do that, but there's thousands of us. I don't know the full numbers, but the way I live my life and how many people I meet every day that are truly aware of this, and that are informing others, and we're just becoming stronger. Every time we get ridiculed and pushed, we just get more organized. We just get stronger. We're being led by love. There's absolutely no way that we will ever stop. So I don't see us losing, even if this bill passes, because the change has already begun. The change in the right direction. Yeah.
Perfect way to end it. I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on late, and keep doing what you're doing. You're not just a person, by the way. You're making an impact that's literally changing the world. And we did not know this was going to happen when you and I met, probably about a year ago, a little less. That this was going to explode, and you're making a mark, which is phenomenal. So thank you for that. I'll be in touch. Let me know if you ever need anything.
Thank you.
Just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. I will.
You're welcome. And everyone on the thread here loves what you're doing, and they're all supporting you. So thanks for being on Revolution Network. We will catch up soon. And again, let us know if you need anything. Everyone, share this around so you can see what Sandra is doing. She literally is a warrior mom, willing to be arrested.
There's so many. Mm-hmm.
Willing to be taken in to save our kids. So guys, keep an eye on California. Keep an eye on Florida, where I am, because the same thing's starting to happen here. And we are the only way. We're the only defense. Sandra and other freedom fighters, warrior moms out there, Conscious Coalition, etc. that are taking the fight back peacefully,
Hmm.
and truth always wins in the end.
That's right.
Have a wonderful night, everybody. Revolution Network, Sandra RN signing off. Have a wonderful night. Take care.
You too. Thank you.